In 2014, Vishal Bharadwaj released Haider, the final installment of his Shakespearean trilogy after Maqbool and Omkara. An adaptation of Hamlet, the film transposes Shakespeare's tragedy into the fraught landscape of Kashmir during the 1990s, at the height of militancy and the Indian state's counter-insurgency operations. Its release ignited heated debates. While critics praised its audacity and artistry, detractors accused it of being anti-national propaganda that demonized the Indian army and romanticized separatists. But does Haider truly fit the definition of propaganda? Or is it better understood as a work of political art, one that interrogates power, violence, and morality through allegory? To answer this, we must carefully distinguish between propaganda cinema and political cinema, and then examine Haider's form, content, and reception. Hello friends, welcome to our channel. On this very day, 11 years back, that is on the 2nd of October, Vishal Bharadwaj's magnum opus Haider released on the big screens, and it met with a lot of polarized reactions. Some called the film a masterpiece, a classic, but some accused it of being a propaganda film. So was it really a propaganda film? With the Bengal Files, which released a few months back, the term propaganda film keeps floating around like hot cake. So we thought this will be the right moment to examine whether Haider was also a propaganda film or not. So without further ado, dive into this video. But before that, I'll urge you to please subscribe to our channel and also take our membership so that we can keep bringing such informative content for you on a regular basis. The term propaganda is often used loosely in contemporary discourse, but scholars like Jack Ellul, Garth Jowett, and Victoria O'Donnell have outlined clear characteristics. Propaganda is the deliberate, systematic attempt to shape perceptions, manipulate cognitions, and direct behavior toward an ideological or political end. In cinema, propaganda manifests through certain strategies. Number one, binary moral frameworks, dividing the world into good versus evil with little ambiguity. Number two, one-sided portrayal, presenting only one interpretation of events while suppressing counter-narratives. Number three, emotional manipulation, relying on pathos and spectacle to override critical thinking. And number four, directive purpose, encouraging the audience to adapt or act upon a political stance. Classic examples of propaganda cinema include Leni Riefenstahl's Triumph of the Will in 1935, which glorified Hitler and the Nazi Party, or the Soviet socialist realist films like Battleship Potemkin that projected an idealized vision of communist progress. Even Hollywood produced Cold War propaganda films that vilified communism, like Red Dawn, the Green Berets, etc. By contrast, political cinema, as exemplified by works like Guillaume Pontecorvo's The Battle of Algiers or Costa Gravas's Z, raises political issues but without prescribing simplistic answers. Political cinema is marked by ambiguity, dialectic tension, and an invitation to reflect rather than conform. The crucial question then is this: does Haider fall into the camp of propaganda or political cinema? Bharadwaj's genius lies in resituating Shakespeare's Hamlet into the socio-political fabric of 1990s Kashmir. Haider, played by Shahid Kapoor, returns to Kashmir to find his father disappeared after being picked up by the Indian army on suspicion of aiding militants. His mother Ghazala, played by Tabu, has grown close to Khurram, played by K.K. Menon, who is Haidar's uncle, who betrays both family and nation for political power. The Hamletian quest for revenge merges seamlessly with the Kashmiri context of disappearances, custodial torture, and suspicion. Characters double as allegorical figures, like Haider, the tragic youth who's torn between personal revenge and political cause. Khurram represents corruption of political ambition, who is complicit with state power. Ghazala represents the ambiguities of love, loyalty, and survival under oppression. The character of Rudar is the ghost-like militant who embodies the voices of the disappeared. Through allegory, the film universalizes the Kashmiri tragedy, the corruption of morality under the weight of violence. But does allegory protect it from being propaganda? We must look deeper. Haider does not shy away from depicting the dark realities of counterinsurgency. It shows the torture chambers, euphemistically called interrogation centers. It shows the extrajudicial killings and disappearances, the pervasive presence of AFSPA, Armed Forces Special Powers Act, which grants impunity to soldiers. Such portrayal provoked accusations that Bharadwaj maligned the Indian army. For critics aligned with nationalist ideology, this alone constituted propaganda. But historical records and human rights reports validate much of what the film shows. By dramatizing these realities, Bharadwaj does not fabricate propaganda. He interprets fact through tragedy. Moreover, the army is not monolithically portrayed as evil. Some officers appear conflicted, while the machinery of violence itself seems larger than individuals. This nuance distances the film from propagandistic caricature. Equally important is how Haider treats militancy. Rudar, played by Irfan Khan, embodies both the spectre of militancy and the haunting voice of injustice. Yet the film resists glorifying him. He manipulates Haider into embracing violence. The militant networks are shown as self-interested and ruthless. Haider's own descent into radicalism is depicted as tragic and not heroic. The climactic scene where Haider has Khurram at gunpoint but chooses to reject revenge subverts both Hamlet's arc and the militants' call for blood. In refusing violence, Haider refuses propaganda. Unlike propaganda's clarity, Haider thrives on ambiguity. Is Ghazala a betrayer or a survivor? Is Haider's madness real or performative? Is resistance through violence justified, or is forgiveness the higher moral ground? The final refusal of revenge complicates easy answers. Propaganda thrives on certainty. Tragedy thrives on ambiguity. In this sense, Haider is fundamentally anti-propagandistic. The polarized reception of Haider reveals much about India's contemporary political climate. Right-wing critics accused it of anti-national bias, boycotted it, and demanded bans. Global critics hailed it as one of the boldest Indian films of its decade. Within India, many appreciated its courage in tackling a silent subject, even while disagreeing with its representation. The very fact that the film provoked debate rather than producing uniform consensus demonstrates that it functions as a political cinema, not propaganda. Placed alongside films like The Battle of Algiers or Ken Loach's The Wind That Shakes the Barley, Haider belongs to the tradition of political art. These films dramatize historical traumas while acknowledging human complexity. They refuse to sanctify one side or erase contradictions. Haider's final act, rejecting revenge and walking away, aligns with this lineage. Where propaganda demands loyalty to a cause, political cinema demands reflection on the costs of cause themselves. To return to the criteria that we discussed earlier, we can see Haider does not promote binary morality. No, both state and the militants are implicated, and Haider's own morality is torn. It is not one-sided. Multiple perspectives coexist. Does it resort to emotional manipulation? Yes, but in the service of tragedy, not ideological conformity. Does it have a directive purpose? No. The film offers no clear political call to action, only a moral reckoning. Therefore, while Haider is politically charged, it is not propaganda. It is a cinematic tragedy that confronts power, violence, and the human psyche in conditions of terror. Vishal Bharadwaj's Haider is one of the rare Indian films to tackle Kashmir with seriousness, allegory, and artistry. Its political content is undeniable, but its ambiguity, moral questioning, and tragic form distinguishes it from propaganda. If propaganda seeks to close down thought, Haider seeks to open it.